Hi, before we start the show, we do have a few spoilers for A Clockwork Orange, Requiem for a Dream, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Hereditary, Kids, Mulholland Drive, and The Machinist. That being said, enjoy the show. Welcome to Best Most. I'm your host, Jose Jogo Gonzalez. This is the podcast where we ask the questions, what is the best or what is the most? For example, we ask questions like, what is the most selfless animal deed in a film? Or what is the best song to eat dinner to? Before each episode, I ask our online community a question that our guests had chosen as our topic. I then go over the community answers with our guests, and we also discuss our own answers. You can check out and answer the questions on the best.most.pod Instagram page. Join the conversation. Today's guest is a songwriter, musician, singer, and has had 4 full-length LPs along with 8 EPs. At this point, a Long Beach music scene staple, also a hot sauce entrepreneur. Welcome to Best Most, Mike from Breatherrr. Yo, bro.
Hey. Hello. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
On this Memorial morning.
Mm-hmm.
So today we answer the question, what's the most emotionally or psychologically disturbing film? Our guest chooses the question for each episode. Mike, what made you choose this one?
I mean, even off the concept of the podcast, it's like it's so much to it because it's such a superlative to say like best and most. So it's interesting to think in terms of like movies that especially like best or most like psychologically or emotionally disturbing because that entails so much more than that's like not casual viewing. And when I think of movies that are especially using the word disturbing, it's like greatly affecting. And it brings up a lot of conversation as to like why something would be disturbing, why it affected a person at a certain time in their life. What did it do to you? Was it like a gateway drug sort of movie where it's like you watch this and then now you've opened up to other movies? Is it almost like did you get jumped in? like almost like a coming of
Yeah.
age. Oh, did you watch that yet? Oh, it'll like break your brain. And especially since I love horror movies, but it's funny to consider movies that aren't quote unquote horror, like they're not really exploring tropes of horror, but the ramifications and the narrative of what's going on is perhaps even scarier than what horror can be, just because it's not tied to anything beyond like some sort of grounded reality and a deviation from that. And I think that that's when things could be psychologically or emotionally
Yeah.
horrific is like, but I thought it was this way, and then it's not this way. It's a scary thing to sort of explore and be kind of trapped in for like 2 hours or whatever.
Cool. So let's go into our community picks. We'll go back and forth on them, and feel free.
So there was a movie that was mentioned to me called Saint Maud, which I've seen before, and there was a few works that were mentioned by the director Michael Haneke, and one of them was Piano Teacher, and then another one I actually have the hat. It's this movie called Possession. It's probably one of my favorite movies, and yeah, I think that was it for the stuff that people mentioned. There was some that were mentioned that were also my picks, so
Okay.
I'll I'll see what you got on your list.
Rojo Locomotion chose Melancholia.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Melancholia, it's funny because like I did have not necessarily my top pick, but the work of Lars von Trier, who did
Mm.
Melancholia, his name definitely came up when I was considering some movies. I haven't seen like Dancer in the Dark. I heard that that's like really rough.
It's
Um,
good. It's really good.
yeah, I do want to see it. One movie I did consider, but didn't really crack the top was like Antichrist
Oh yeah.
by Von Trier. And yeah, that was one of those movies that's like you watch it and you're like day is like changed. But he has a
Yeah.
tendency to do that though. The only reason why I didn't necessarily go with his picks is like I feel like there's a sort of maybe resentment or an anger towards the viewer in the sense of like I'm going to make you feel bad. Like I want you to
Mm.
feel bad.
Yeah, I could see that.
So there, I feel like there's a tinge of cruelty to his stuff. I guess the movies that I picked, there was something a little bit more than like being antagonistic. Maybe antagonistic is the
Hmm.
word, but Melancholia, yeah, I remember that movie being like I think by the time that I had seen Melancholia it was maybe my second or third Von Trier, and I was like, oh yeah, it was a bummer of a movie. But it didn't. I don't feel like it disturbed me. Like it didn't bother me as much, probably because I was like already jumped into his stuff.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see Kirsten Dunst. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it was cool to see Kirsten Dunst. You know, like I had such a major crush on her from Jumanji, and
Mm.
then so it's like, uh you know, and then as I grew up and she like grew up doing, you know, new movies and blah 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 and she was like Mary Jane and fucking so like, you know, and then even seeing her in like Civil War, you know, a couple years ago, which is like a very serious movie, like very
Oh
tense
yeah, yeah, that's
movie.
right.
Yeah, by Alex Garland.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um yeah, so seeing her in Melancholia and seeing her in this very dramatic depressed role was like it was definitely interesting. Yeah, I can see how it'd bother people
Yeah.
though, for sure. It's a heavy movie.
Next one is Emilio J. Murga chose A Clockwork Orange. Good one. We may or may not go into it later. Maybe. Who knows? Next one is Cass underscore Chavez underscore fitness. She also chose A Clockwork Orange. She said one of my favorites and Donnie Darko as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Donnie Darko. I feel like that was one of those coming of age movies. I actually revisited
Yeah.
that. I'd say maybe about a year ago or something like that, and I watched it on
Mm. Same
it's
here.
a yeah, Sunday afternoon, and it was raining. It was like the best time to watch that movie. But it is like it's a fucking heady movie, and it will kind of, you know, especially if you're when it came out, I was, you know, in my late teens or whatever. It's like it's a brain breaker for sure.
Yeah. Have
Um,
you seen the director's cut?
I think yeah, I did watch the director's cut the most recently. Yeah.
I feel like it's a totally different vibe. Like it adds a whole lot of something to it. Like with where it shows like the book, like the
hmm
chapters.
Yeah.
I was like, this is I don't know if I like this. This is kind of weird.
For sure. Yeah, I remember seeing it, and there was a bit more like I don't know if exposition would be the right word, but like
Mm.
yeah, I think it was definitely giving
It's less ambiguous, really.
exactly. Yeah. I do think though that that scene of them getting out of the school bus, were they smoking pot in the school bus? I don't know. Anyway, they get out of the school bus and it's to Tears for Fears head over heels. So that whole sequence with head over heels and blah 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 blah. When I think of that movie, I think of that part before anything else, before all the
Yeah.
wormhole shit, you know, Frank the Bunny. I always think of that Tears for Fears part.
So my friend, the Jason or the J 5 on, he chose Ex Machina, which I watched a couple nights
Oh
ago
yeah,
just to
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
rewatch it. Really good, really holds up. I remember watching it in the theater when it first came out, and then rewatching it this time. I kind of didn't really remember a lot of it, but it is pretty disturbing what the possibilities of AI are.
Yeah, Alex Garland, he does have a flavor to his stuff. There's a I feel like he's not cruel about it, but there is a
Hmm.
bleakness to it. Like even if you think about the end of Civil War, like there is a thing of like, yeah, it's the movie's done, But is that like it's not tightly like the resolution is not a tightly wound bow. Everything kind of ends with an ellipses and it's generally not a great feeling. So I definitely
Yeah.
respect it. I respect his work, but I always feel like I have to kind of like um mentally prepare for whatever he has.
Yeah. So, Mr. Sam Slick, he said, "Ooh, Threads is a tough one. Really stark depiction of nuclear fallout in 80s Britain, just totally bleak and feels unavoidable when you watch it." And then Cat Ryder, she chose Happiness, directed by Todd Solondz. Have you seen
Mm.
Happiness?
Happiness? No, I don't think
That
so.
one? Okay, so just going off of everything you're saying right now,
Hmm.
you should watch Happiness. It's starring Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Oh, okay.
but there's all these other people in it, but it's really good and very fucked up in general.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's before watching that movie and after watching that movie. So yeah, Happiness is pretty nuts.
Nice.
Altered Vince, he chose Requiem for a Dream. Pedro de Carmona, he chose A Clockwork Orange. Watched it in high school with a friend who loved that movie. Mentally broke me as a young lad. What the hell am I watching? A close second, Requiem for a Dream. Also, Kids is up there. Made me not want to have sex without a condom. No to AIDS.
I've never seen Kids. That is definitely it's been on my list, but it's like it's not streaming anywhere and you have to buy it physically from somewhere. Oh, I do want to make a quick shout out because I didn't say who entered movies to me.
Hmm.
Alex Jean, close friend and collaborator. She was the one who brought up some movies, and my friend Phil. I don't have his tag on here, but he entered some movies as well. And also DJ Kirby, he hit me up with a movie, but was my pick, so we'll get into that when it's time.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Heck yeah. We're going to go to our individual picks. So, how we're going to do it is you go with one, I'll go with one. We'll kind of go shoot back and forth.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mike from Breather, what's the most emotionally or psychologically disturbing film?
My pick, and this is with the caveat that I am aware that there is a iceberg, the film Iceberg, where it's like you, whenever you bring up a movie, there's always like you say a fucked up movie, and then everyone's like, "Oh, well, you clearly haven't seen Clown Vomit 72." But this is broad strokes. So my top pick was Requiem for a Dream, and I rewatched it the other day just to verify my choice. But that was a movie that I don't know if I even knew the context of it going into it, but I'll never forget watching it. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I remember by the time it finished, it was like it was afternoon sunlight. It's like going into evening. So like the room that I was in had like this dark orange hue to it. And I was seeing that movie and like immediately I had to like call someone. I called my cousin Jill. I was like, I just need to talk to somebody. Like, and I don't even remember if I really talked about the movie. I was just like, I need to talk to somebody because it like completely emptied me out. At least that
Yeah.
initial viewing.
It feels like leaving a funeral.
Oh, yeah, rewatching it, I'm gonna quote my ex-roommate Bobby. It's incredibly bleak. That's what he says about movies
Yeah.
and shows. But rewatching it the other day, I got to watch it more objectively because I knew what was gonna happen and this and that. And I got to also appreciate it for like its production value and what they're doing and like the editing is amazing. The soundtrack is
Hmm.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
cinematography is amazing. But yeah, it is by that I would say to from that half, the back half to the last third is a it's just like punch after punch after punch that just like relentlessly like it is not going to get better. It is only going to get worse from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah. A build.
Yeah, I think also with that movie's dealing with. addiction that at least like on the surface it's dealing with an addiction. And even the other day I was like, why did they call it Requiem for a Dream? And then I'm watching this movie and it's like, oh yeah, they all of them have this fantasy of what they're trying to get to. Some of it is like nostalgia, some of it is like a new life, but they are trapped by addiction and this thing that like is almost promising or gives the illusion that they're getting closer to where they want to get to is actually is taking them further and further away from it. So not only that, but I think the thing that's even more which makes it scarier beyond it just being addiction like on this individual level is that systemically it is built into just like when the mom like a great example is when the mom is she wants to lose weight because she wants to fit into this dress because she's going to be on TV and it's going to make her feel like, she has this conversation with Jared Leto where she's like, the dress gives her something to wake up for and be excited about
Yeah.
because her husband's gone, her son is not there, and it gives her something to dream about and to be hopeful for. But she wants to lose weight, so she goes to the doctor and she's like, "Yeah, I've heard about this diet pill, blah blah blah." And when the doctor walks into the office with her, he does not look up from his clipboard. He never looks at her. He's looking at his clipboard. He's essentially
Mhm.
like, "What do you want?" She's like, "I want diet pills." And he's like, "Okay, cool." Like essentially, uh, yeah, we'll get that taken care of. And he walks out. He doesn't even look at her. So it's not even a matter of like the systemic aspect of it is it's not about the individual. For this guy, it's just a paycheck to him
Yeah.
and it's like a quick fix. Then later on in the movie when she's like lost it, uh the people that are handling her, that's what it is like they're handling her. They're not even paying attention to her. They're having a conversation about some bullshit. She's signing off on stuff when she's out of her mind, and the doctor knows that she's out of her mind, and she's just signing off on this thing. And it's like, so yeah, on the surface, it could be about addiction, but you kind of wonder how much of it is about distraction in general. If you
Mhm.
look at social media, if you look at just being on our phones, not to be that guy, but like in a very real sense, it's like as long as we're distracted, you kind of wonder how ambivalent we are to like the ramifications of things. And there are
Yeah.
people in power that are going to take advantage of that opportunity, not give a shit about that opportunity. We're just numbers. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a brilliant movie that like it explores addiction, but from like every level of it, from, like even Jared Leto, he's realizing with his mom, he's like, dude, you're on like uppers. And she's like, how do you know more than the doctor? It's like, yeah, and he's like a pusher. So it's like
Yeah.
he is he is no better than the doctor, or the doctor's no better than him. Everyone is playing the exact same role. And yeah, it's a very, very heavy movie. It's gut punch after gut punch, and it feels incredibly bleak. Uh there's
No
no
give at all.
resolution. Yeah, it's just it's tragic. It's a heartbreak for sure. I didn't cry, but yeah, fucked me up.
Glad that they also included that character, the mother, and
Oh
her
yeah.
experience, because if they didn't include her, the addiction only kind of applies to people who are,
No,
yeah, just
right, right.
drug users, right?
Yeah.
But having her included, it kind of like shows like, okay, this could affect you too. This could affect other people who are not quite intending to be
Recreational. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's taken it. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, there's a recreational aspect to it because it's like a cheat code sort of thing. Like, oh, I need to lose
yeah,
weight.
True.
I want to keep eating my creamy bagels. Like, how can I keep doing that? But yeah, I mean, Ellen Burstyn, not only did she like destroy in that movie, but it's like the scariest parts of that. Even rewatch it the other day. It's like I knew that the part was gonna come up, but like she's like starting to hallucinate and like
Mm,
she's having visions of the people in the TV ending up in her room, like in her living room. And
yeah.
even when it came on the other day, I like immediately like got that sinky feeling like, oh fuck, I forgot. And it hits harder than like any slasher flick. And that's not hating on slasher flicks, it's just more of like it's truly scary for sure.
So my main pick is A Clockwork Orange from 1971, starring Malcolm McDowell, who plays Alex. Warren Clark plays Dim. James Marcus, who plays Georgie. Michael Tom, who plays Pete. Writer Stanley Kubrick. Anthony Burgess, based off a book by Anthony Burgess. I got a IMDb a synopsis by someone named Nikki Carlisle. Says Alex DeLarge is an ultra-violent youth in futuristic Britain. He's arrested and convicted of murder. While in prison, Alex learns of an experimental program in which convicts are programmed to detest violence. If he goes through the program, his sentence will be reduced, but Alex's ordeals are far from over once he hits the streets of Britain. I have just a couple of points here. What is disturbing is the home invasion scene where droogs rape and beat the residents. Also, the cavalier way these young men view the world and the violence in it, along with their own violent actions. They don't have any sympathy and just do, and only feel put out if they are caught. I think
Mm,
that's very common with with a lot of young people, but also just some people in general. I think they just do things. There's no idea of ramifications. If they got away
hmm
with certain things in the past, they're just going to continue to do it. But this is like obviously like a heightened version of that. But I think yeah, that's probably the most that to me that's the most disturbing thing of the film,
hmm
and it definitely their behavior, like that lack of empathy or anything manifests itself in the actions of the rape scene. And
hmm
that scene is just crazy disturbing. I'm like any
Yeah,
rape scene, I'm like checked out. I
for
really,
sure.
yeah, I hate watching anything like that, but it's definitely an
Yeah.
effective tool in this movie where you're just like, you see how emotionally checked out these young men are and just don't give a fuck about anything really. They
Yeah,
just, they just kind of like, hey, this will be fun. And that's their compass really.
for sure. I mean, Kubrick in general had this there's a dryness to how he approaches, it's like, obviously Shining is like this shining example. It's like such a
Yeah.
classic film. But yeah, Clockwork Orange, it's funny because, I think the fact that the protagonists, like the kids that you're following, it's like are are the villains. Like they are terrible
Yeah.
people. But there's this level of like just jovialness and like this sort of like whimsy to it that it's like kind of disarming. But yeah, it's very sobering in the sense of like, who are these people that I'm like, if it's a protagonist, you have this natural inclination to like want to root for them or whatever. And then
Yeah.
that happens and you're like, who am I with now? Who am I following, in this
Yeah.
thing? And like, he didn't really have a realization until like they break into that lady's house and he like kills her with a fucking like that penis yeah, seat, whatever it is. He has that final realization like, oh shit, this is very real. Um yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that, even like I think it's like I don't know if it's his counselor or it's like someone from the school, but they end up at his house and he's just like Malcolm McDowell's character is just like hanging out in his tidy whities, and this like
Mhm.
counselor like touches his dick, and the way that they're talking to each other, there's a sinister thread going through the whole thing that is down to Beethoven's music being used,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's like the cleansing or brainwashing scene with the eyes. It's like
Yeah.
it's a very shocking movie for sure. I think it's that thing of like I never felt emotionally attached to the character. Like
Mhm.
it was mostly like it's like I said, it's that protagonist thing where it's like you want to see what happens with this person that you're following. But you're just kind of like, oh wow, this is fucked up. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind
Yeah.
of messed up. Yeah, thinking about it, it's like, yeah, it doesn't that movie does not feel good, like at all. It's a different kind of horror than
Yeah.
like Shining or whatever.
What's your next pick?
Um, I went with Mulholland Drive,
It's a good one.
by David Lynch. I think that with that movie, that was another one of those movies. So just setting the scene, I think I was like 12 and my stepdad had rented it. I had never heard of David Lynch. So I was like, oh, I'll watch this movie. And it absolutely like wrecked my brain. And it left
Mhm.
it almost introduced me to that feeling of like that sinky feeling in your gut. I think, piggybacking off of Requiem for a Dream, a lot of what Mulholland Drive is about is like um it's a very surreal movie, but there is a grounded thing that's, essentially like be careful what you wish for, or like or the things that you're dreaming for, like the horror of those things being unattainable, with Naomi Watts, spoiler, but like yeah, she's like, you're following her and this other woman as like, Naomi Watts is supposed to, she wants to try out audition for these movies, and she has this person with her that she believes that she's trying to help this woman in trouble, but it gets revealed by the end that it's actually the other way around. She's been having like
Mhm.
she's been hallucinating, and like she's the one who actually needs help. She's the one who's envious. I think that, I mean, Lynch has this ability to he inserts surrealism into reality, and it's
Mhm.
so jarring when it happens. You can't help but be taken aback. It's like literally having a dream, and that surrealism of a dream, if that was to seep into your reality, it's like if you've ever had like a lucid dream, it feels weird. Like it feels strange. It feels
Yeah.
very alien, and he has a way of doing that. But I think that that movie, um, there's this like real darkness to it that is, I think is so relevant just to, just the things in general, the effect of envy and jealousy, fantasy, um, and the the reality, or like the prospect of the things you really want to happen just never happening, and kind of being
Mhm.
stuck in a cycle of coveting like that. That's horrifying in and of its own. That's sort of a trap. It's almost like the fantasy is a drug. I started to notice that with my picks, was that I think that's when things, at least I guess for me, become like psychologically or emotionally disturbing, is when it is like grounded in reality and very very real concepts and very real emotions, and how it's very easy for the things that you want to be taken away from you, or or to self-sabotage. I think that that's horrifying, because that
Mhm.
ultimately it's like, you know it's a fact that like we don't have control over anything besides like ourselves, like in how we view things, but you don't have control over how things shake out. And the idea, almost the idea that's like the one thing you do have control over yourself, you let that slip away. So it's almost like it's your fault that things don't work out. That's a horrifying thing to consider. Yeah, I think conceptually with Mulholland Drive, like what he's talking about, and just how he delivers it is very chilling. But it's definitely one of my favorite movies. And I would say with Requiem for a Dream and Mulholland Drive, when I saw them, time of my life, being a kid, being late teens, for Requiem, being like 12 years old for Mulholland Drive. Those were like
Hmm.
those jumping in movies. Like you just got jumped into like a new, before and after sort of thing of like there was reality before this, and then there's reality after watching this movie. And it
Yeah,
it definitely shifts
I
your
could see that.
perspective on things. Yeah.
My next choice is or pick is so it's like the runner up is Killing of a Sacred Deer. It's from 2017. I won't go into too much of the details of it, but I will go more into why I chose it. The movie itself quickly is about a doctor, a surgeon who befriends a young man who is the son of a patient who I guess the surgeon had not saved during surgery, and the young man is played by Barry Keoghan and the doctor is played by Colin Farrell. The kid gets upset and he kind of creates a curse on Colin Farrell, saying you can save one of your kids, but in the meantime they're both going to start dying.
Mhm.
So what makes this movie disturbing is the tone of this film. The delivery is so strange and monotone, not badly acted, but feels uneasy. Barry
Mhm.
Keoghan delivers a staid yet menacing blase performance. As the kids get sick, their reactions to their possible demise also feels fucked up and somewhat realistic, but again delivered on in a monotone manner. The whole movie feels off in the best ways, but fascinating.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of a crazy movie because it's hard to take seriously at first, but if you really watch it and you kind of let that kind of cadence sink in and
Mhm.
really watch the movie and take in like, oh, these kids are dying, and Barry Keoghan's character is almost kind of like almost like a little like a devil or like a demon, just kind of like entering this guy's life.
Oh yeah.
Just the way he plays the character, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was my first and forgive me for I'm probably saying his name wrong, but Yorgos Lanthimos. That was my
Yeah.
first flick from him. And yeah, it like that was yeah, that's I could definitely see that movie as like that changed my evening for sure. Yeah, the cadence of how they're talking, um, idiosyncratic, I think is what I've heard it referred to as like
Hmm.
it has a very specific character to it, and the fact that no, it's almost like it's like watching like a video game and you're dealing with NPCs, like non-playable
Yeah.
characters that are programmed kind of wrong, like 1995, like, oh yeah, here's this action game, and then like you have these characters that you have to talk to, and they all like they're kind of like fucked up, and they all like act a certain way and sound a certain way. It's almost like they have the same voice actor, and it has this
Yeah.
really weird alien quality to it. Yeah, and Barry Keoghan, like he has a look that you're like, there's something about him that like it's like what's going on behind your eyes? And especially for seeing him for the first time in that movie, it's it's very jarring. And yeah, the sort of sterility of it and that last sequence,
Mhm.
where he has to make a where Colin Farrell has to make a choice,
Yeah.
and how just matter of fact all of it kind of feels because there's like this sort of absence of sentimentality or emotion, like externally, like at least from what I remember, like
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody ever expressing a sort of like, this is horrific. What is happening? Like, it's just like, okay, like, all right, I will do the thing. Are you feeling
Yeah.
good today? That's great. Like, it's
It's
so, and I,
humorous too. It's
oh yeah, it's funny because like I didn't watch The Lobster until like I saw a few more of his other movies.
yeah. I
But
love Lobster, by the way. Good movie.
yeah, that one for me, it's very interesting. I think that like I like his movies when I mean Dogtooth is really strange and cool.
Yeah.
Lobster didn't hit me as hard, but I definitely respect it a lot, like what's going on there. I think when I saw Poor Things, that was like,
Hmm.
oh, this movie feels like it was made just for me. Like this is like
Oh
I just
wow.
sat there with the biggest smile on my face. Like this is yeah, and it's strange and there's a heaviness to it, but there's just the way that it's constructed, how it looks. That one struck a chord with me for sure. Kinds of Kindness, I really enjoyed that one too. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, Killing of a Sacred Deer, that's one where I'll recommend it to people, but with the caveat of like, if you want like a heavy, weird movie, give it a shot, but
Hmm.
know that it's going to kind of fuck you up. It's like, it's strange. It's very strange. Killing of a Sacred Deer, the language of it, like literally and like socially, there's there's a sort of like surrealism to it for sure.
Yeah. And I think you said it perfectly. It's like NPC. It's pretty much like if you've created a story with NPCs,
For sure. Yeah.
you have honorable mentions as well, right?
Yeah, I think just to bringing up Requiem for a Dream on Mulholland Drive, Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon. I remember seeing that it's an anime film. I think it was 95. And that
Hmm.
had a big influence on Aronofsky, who did Requiem for a Dream. And that movie, Perfect Blue, especially for an anime film, to be as psychologically shifting and sort of having that gut in your feeling thing, uh, accomplishing that with animated film that shook me for sure. And I think Aronofsky definitely cited that movie as like his later work, Black Swan.
Hmm.
Um, but Perfect Blue is another exploration of celebrity and dreams and identity. So that one's great. Anything by Gaspar Noé, I think is like, obviously you know, Irreversible is like considered one of the like most disturbing movies out there. I think a lot of his work, the first one I saw from him, Enter the Void, you know, uh, back in like my stoner days is like you would go on Google and be like, what's the trippiest movies I can watch? And then you go and watch, it's like people talk about Enter the Void. It's about guy that does DMT, and then you from the it's like, oh, this is wildly depressing because he's like essentially astral projecting and like
Oh.
viewing life and like trauma. Um, yeah, anything by Gaspar Noé, Michael Haneke. I will also mention Safe by Todd Haynes.
Hmm.
That movie, that was like one of the last movies that I've seen probably in the past year that after I turned it off, I literally had to take a shower just because it left me with a really, really weird feeling. And it's with Julianne Moore and
Yeah.
yeah, she's allergic to everything. But there's an underlying issue of self-esteem and just powerlessness to it that's very, very haunting. And yeah, I have a longer list, but we could jump into into what you have going on.
Let's see. I have Funny Games, the remake. I hadn't seen the original. Just really quick on that. Pretty much, that movie is uh, exhausting to watch in a way that your heart just drops and stays there the whole movie for the most part.
Hmm.
Hereditary is one. I know you wanted to kind of go into a little bit too. The Machinist was another one that I also chose. I kind of forgot about this one until you chose your question, and I looked into it. And I'm like, oh, The Machinist. That movie was pretty disturbing, in the way that it shows that guilt can really kind of overtake your life and destroy it. And once you kind of see why the machinist, played by Christian Bale, is like super skinny and depressed, you could understand why he's in the place he is. But as far
Hmm.
as Hereditary is one of those movies that does have a feel of dread, and it really amps up at the end. But what did you want to kind of mention about that one?
With Hereditary, I feel like that movie, it's funny because when I think of like my favorite films, which is often like us to make a list,
Hmm.
uh, I uh, I always have this weird hang up because I'm like, oh, is that movie too recent for me to say that it's like one of my
Yeah,
favorite movies?
I get that.
But it's also like he Ari Aster set a new benchmark for horror movies, um that like you cannot deny, and he did something very fresh with it. I think it was almost like, he often get this movie gets mentioned in the same conversation as The Exorcist.
Yeah,
I think what
100%.
the I think what the beyond the satanic or whatever thing aspect to it, what Ari Aster was doing, and well, William Friedkin was doing, was like, if you read any, or if you listen to any interviews with Ari Aster, he was like really big on like Ingmar Bergman, Michael Haneke, the guy who did Funny Games. He did this movie called Piano Teacher that was also like on my list. I feel like they were making movies that were, or they're making movies that it's not tied to genre. It just has elements of genre in it. It has elements of horror in it. I think the thing with Hereditary is it's like it is, for the most part, it's a family drama. The scariest part of that movie is Toni Collette's face
Mhm.
when they're arguing at the dinner table, and you empathize with her obviously, but like just the level of rage that she has and frustration, and it's like she doesn't want to be mad at her own kid, but she also can't help but be mad because she just lost her kid.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that, when William Friedkin did Exorcist, that was like his only like real horror movie, quote unquote horror movie, because like he made thrillers, like he was just trying to make a good movie, and I think that that is ultimately the power of it, was like, and you could even argue that Exorcist, the, what's horrifying with it and what makes it work, as opposed to a lot of like possession movies, devil movies, blah, 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 is that one, she's a little girl, but she clearly has a good relationship with her mom, Ellen Burstyn. Like, so it's just something that happened,
Mhm.
but it's not like it was born out of this trauma or anything like that. And I
Yeah.
think you go with Hereditary was like the scariest aspect of that, and what you start to realize is this family never stood a chance.
Mhm.
This was in motion before, probably even before Toni Collette's character was even born. Like, the mom is part of these demon worshippers, and the family was always on track to be sacrificed for something
Yeah,
else.
they're a means to an
That
end pretty much.
absolutely. But yeah, I do want to say with Funny Games, I never watched it past the first time I saw it because I was so upset by it. I
Yeah,
re
same here.
I think I saw it once and I was like, that I'm fine with that. So I definitely I concur with that. Michael Haneke in general, though, he did this movie Piano Teacher, which I did write down. He has a coldness to his movies that is so there's a brutality to it. And Piano Teacher is like it's like emotionally brutal with what happens with the characters. Not in a way that like affected me like, oh, I feel like crying or anything like that. You're just like
Yeah.
what they're subjected to is very very rough, and Funny Games that really did upset me. And it's like, yeah, it's kids, like when it's kids that are like our teenagers that just don't give a fuck and they're
Hmm.
destroying people's lives. It that I think that's probably why I didn't revisit it either, because it just pissed me off so much. And like, you know yeah, fuck them kids.
I hope. Yeah, that's scary. I don't know. I think I agree because I think that's so real. I think, and I'm not saying like kids are killers or anything like that, but I think it's so real
Yeah,
as far as the lack of empathy. Initially, you grow up and something happens, and that's when you become empathetic. But at that age, you're just like, woo,
yeah,
do whatever you want to do. Who gives a shit?
yeah, yeah.
Cool. So that has been our episode. Mike from Breather, thanks for joining me on this journey.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Would you like to plug anything or give any shout outs?
Shout out to my homies that hit me up with suggestions. And yeah, we are currently very deep into production of our next release. I won't say too much about it, but there's definitely not only an audio aspect, but visually and the visual world with how it relates to Breather in general. I'll say that film has definitely become more and more of an important aspect of what we do, and that is going to play a bigger part into our presentation moving forward. So hopefully all
Mhm.
that stuff will be shared sooner than later. Just everything takes time, and you gotta let things marinate and breathe. But no pun intended.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's very very soon we'll have something new for everybody to experience. So yeah, thank you.
I do recommend people check out your kind of like a concert or show video on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube still. The one at the
Oh
Art
yeah,
Theater in Long Beach.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was really good. Really fucking impressive, dude.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, shout out to Tom Fleming. He shot the whole thing. Um, and shout out to Furcast, everybody involved in that production. It was yeah, it was a long ramp up to it, and it was that was one of those things where it's like you're, especially as an independent artist, you're producing your own events, and I produced that, and it was funny because it's like start the day, you're setting up, you have your crew and everything, but it's like I'm checking in with sound people, checking in with projectionists,
Mhm.
checking in with your merch people, checking in with a DJ. This thing needs to happen. This thing needs to happen. And then somebody taps you, and you're like, oh, we're gonna play in 15 minutes. And you're like, okay. And you go and play the show, and then as soon as you get off the stage, you're like, okay, I gotta go check in with merch. We have to close this thing down. So it's like that whole
Yeah.
night. It it felt like just this blur of like activity. Um, but I'm really glad that we have that document out there for people to see now, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was a wild experience.
You have such a good presence on stage. That's for sure. And
Oh, thanks.
like interesting, exciting too. Yeah. Um,
Thank you.
so yeah, thank you to our online community for taking the time to answer the questions on the best.most.pod Instagram page. And again, best.most.pod Instagram page. I got to say, the community brought the heat this time with the episode answers. Uh, thanks, friends. Also, thanks to you, the listener listening right now. You could be listening to anything else, but you're here with Mike and I talking shop. To further support the show, you can share it with a friend, comment, rate, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all appreciated. And remember, there are no guilty pleasures when it comes to music, movies, and all art preferences. Love what you love and enjoy what you enjoy. That connection is such a gift. Until the next time, take care and take care of each other. Bye bye.
Bye.